Hey, welcome into another episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. I'm the Fat Guy. Most people just call me Brett. I really appreciate you listening today. And if you've been listening for a while, I actually talked to somebody last week who's listened to every single episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. And I think we're on episode 129 or 130. There's a lot of them. She listened all the way back to when I first started, when I was a whole food, plant-based vegan, which was a long time ago. And I evolved from that and learned from that. The thing I like about my weight loss journey is that I have learned and evolved, and it happened in sections. So I learned a lot about plant-based food, plant-based eating. I learned a lot about processed food when I was whole plant-based vegan. And then when I moved more into a low-carb than ketogenic lifestyle, I really got educated on animal foods and, again, revisited processed foods, which is something whole food vegan and a good healthy keto diet have in common. And then I started adding onto that this super powerful concept of fasting, and this has been a several year journey, and I feel like my knowledge is just so well-rounded in all of these that I really can have a conversation with most anybody based on no matter what area of nutrition they fall into, and you'll find that it runs the gamut. Nevertheless, I don't know how I got sidetracked with that, but I appreciate you listening today. Follow us on social media. So I've started, Instagram just seems like the perfect place to do short videos, semi-frequent photo updates, and it not be obtrusive or hard to find or weird. And so I'm just focusing all my efforts on Instagram now. So I'm trying to do a fully fed weight weigh-in. I'm trying to do a max fasted weigh-in. And then I'm trying to do a short video on inspiration, tips, knowledge, advice, things I've learned, things I've accomplished. And then I'm trying to do a set of progress pictures. And I'm going to just try to keep doing that in a very methodical fashion. And then for detailed things, you'll refer to the podcast. So you want to get in depth, you want to get into detail, here's where you'll come. So follow me on the social medias, especially Instagram and Facebook are my primary two. But no matter which one you like, Fat Guy Podcast is the username. And then, of course, follow the subscribe to the podcast, whether you use Apple Podcast, iTunes, or whether you use Stitcher. I think we're still on Stitcher. I believe we're still on Google Podcast. I don't know. I think we're on all of it. I think pretty much wherever you find podcasts, you can find us. If you have somewhere that you like podcasts and you can't find us, let me know. But we're always on the website, thefatguypodcast.com. Episodes are updated there. And also, shoot me a message, and if we have problems, I'll try to help you. So, power of fasting. So first of all, I've covered this in previous podcasts, but short recap. Over 6 months of extended depression last year at the end of the year caused a lot of weight gain. I meant to get on track January 1st, but my birthday was the 7th and I wanted to celebrate, so I was going to start after the 7th. But in the meantime, I wound up getting sick. I was sick for 8 weeks. Finally got all over that stuff, so I got a very late start. So I'm just now into my 3rd week of being buckled down, and we're going to grind and conquer 2019. So far with my combination of keto eating, fasting, and, trying to do right 3 weeks in, we're losing about 3 pounds a week is where we're at. So, what I want to talk about today is the flexibility of fasting. Fasting is such a powerful tool to add to no matter what even if you're a person that's listening to this and you're like, well, I'm not doing keto and I don't eat animal food. I'm a plant-based dieter. Well, good news. Fasting works with any kind of diet. Even if you're a person that just is going to eat everything. I'm still eating the processed food. I'm still eating my ice cream. I'm still going to have my cheesecake. I'm still going to eat my Snickers bars. I'm just going to count calories and try to do it. Fasting can be implemented. No matter what you do, fasting will be a powerful added tool, not just for weight loss, but for health. And at some point, I'm going to do a very detailed podcast on the health benefits of fasting, and not even really talk about the weight loss aspect. So that'll come in the future. But for right now, I want to talk about the flexibility of fasting. So not only is it flexible because it'll work with no matter what kind of protocol you're already doing or attempting to do, there's also innumerable ways to do it. And my 3 weeks so far of buckling down in 2019 fully demonstrates that. So the very first week when I buckled down, I started on a Sunday. I had carved out that weekend. I'd spent a weekend at the casino, and I knew that I was buckling down that Sunday. And I come in, and I had one meal on Sunday, and I started, and I knew I needed to do an extended fast because I needed to purge all the crap, all the carbs out of my system, and I also needed to get my mind right. And fasting is one of the best things you can do to get your mind right, to get your cravings under control, to put the power to choose how, when, and what to eat back into your hands. Fasting gives you all of that. You just have to do the fast. And so I wanted to do an extended fast, and I was going to shoot for 5 days that week. I wanted to do a 5-day fast. So I wanted to go from Sunday afternoon to Friday afternoon. Well, I wound up coming up short, only did 4 days, did 96 hours, which is still a very long fast. And at the end of the 96 hours, I had a very small meal. It was a pretty nutritious keto, low carb keto meal. I had one meal and I went right back into a fast. So, I was only eating for like 15 minutes, went right back into a fast and went another 24 hours. So that was my first week. That's what I chose to do. And it did. It gave me so much control. I was back at the poker room that weekend. Had no problems making smart choices about food. I didn't have cravings. I didn't have issues of when I did eat, keeping it keto, doing it right. It's just amazing the power that fasting puts back into your hands as far as food and eating and stuff is concerned. It puts everything in perspective. Like all these times you think you're hungry during the day, you're not hungry, but you think you are, and you just feed it, and it becomes a habit, and your brain gives up control to the addictive power of sugar. And so fasting just really delivers all that back to you. So second week rolled around. This was last week, and I just didn't feel the need to go as extreme last week, but I still wanted to do significant fasting, so I did 48. So I started again on Sunday. I went 48 hours. Then I ate 2 meals. One of them was, I believe, about 800 calories, and then I ate another one that was around 400 calories. And they were just a couple hours apart. So I ate in about a 2 or 3 hour window. And then I jumped right back into fasting, and then I did another 48 hours. So I had 2 48-hour fasts back-to-back, separated by about a 1,200 calorie section in there. Then I ate one meal at the end of that second 48-hour fast, which was on a Thursday afternoon, early Thursday evening. And then I did another 24-hour fast to take me into the Friday afternoon. And then, as you can see, this is my trend because I play poker and I'm either in a casino or in a poker room or something all weekend. And since I'm around good food and it's a good environment and I want to feel free, and even though I'm going to keep it keto and try to eat relatively healthy, trying to fast through that is very difficult. So fasting gives me the power to eat right, but still consume food and eat on a regular basis. So that's the plan I've laid out. It's just another example of how flexible fasting is. I've built a fasting protocol around my lifestyle, and my lifestyle is I don't do much during the week. I don't do a whole lot, and on the weekend I'm playing long hours in the poker room. I'm really stressing my mind, and if you're a poker player for profit and you're trying to play poker for a living, it's like, imagine taking an SAT test for 10 hours. If you're playing poker well, that's what you're doing. Now sure, you get to fraternize with people around you and have good conversation or whatever. But if you're a good poker player and if you're there for profits, every play you're watching and studying, it's really like taking a test over and over and over again. Every new hand is you're memorizing information, trying to take that information that you've learned and apply it to the next hand you play. And you do that all day. And then if a new player comes and one player, then you got to relearn this new player. And so it's very mentally exhausting playing poker well. To play poker well, it's very mentally exhausting. And so you do give yourself a few breaks with food, which helps, but you got to keep your energy up. And so it's very intense. Playing poker is very intense, even though you're sitting in a chair. It's a very, especially emotionally and mentally intense type thing. And so this worked well for me because I get to open it up and not worry about fasting or restricting too much on the weekend, which is basically from Friday night to Sunday afternoon. I let all that time go by, and I can eat 2 meals, I can eat 3 meals, I can eat 4 meals if I want. I just try not to overeat too much, and I keep it keto. And then Sunday I jump right back into fasting. So all these are examples of how flexible fasting is. So now we're into this week. And what did I decide to do this week? Well, I decided to do somewhere in the 36 to 40 hour range fast. So not really 2 days, kind of like a day and a half. So came in Sunday night, ate late Sunday night. Made it all through Monday without eating anything. And then Tuesday, early in the afternoon, which wasn't that long ago, I think it was about an hour and a half ago, I decided to eat. And I ate a pretty good meal. I think it was about a 1,000 calorie meal. It was a good keto meal. With no carbs. It was relatively moderate to high in fat. It was low carb, fair amount of protein. It's a good quality keto meal. And now I'm going to jump right back in and do another 36 to 40 hours. So it won't be a full 2 days. It's not 48 like it was before. So what that means is I'll make it all through tonight, which won't be that long because I'll be going to bed in a few hours. So that'll be easy. Then I just got to make it through tomorrow. And then I get to eat early on the next day, which will be Thursday. So I'll get to eat a breakfast, around 7, 8, 9, something in the morning. So I'll have me and I love keto breakfast, man. You do some eggs with cheese and bacon and, all this stuff is yummy, yummy. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's just another example. Oh, by the way, so that'll be Thursday morning-ish. And then what I'll do is probably be a little less than 36, but I'll make it over into the Friday afternoon. So I'll go the rest of all day Thursday. I won't eat Friday morning, and I'll probably eat Friday afternoon around 4 or 5 or something like that. So won't quite be 36 hours, maybe 32, 33 hours. So again, I'm fasting. That's 3 weeks in a row I'm fasting. All 3 weeks were completely different. I tailored them to a plan and a reason and a goal behind it. And it's just a great example of how fasting is so flexible that you can work it into your health and weight loss lifestyle in a way that works for you. It works in conjunction with what you're doing and how your life is. A lot of people talk about how you just can't go without food, and that's just not true. You can. It's super easy to go without food. Like, it's hard to do a push-up. That's something you have to physically do. It's hard to run a mile, but it's not hard to not do something. It's not hard to not eat. You just don't do it. Like, there's no great feat that you have to accomplish. You just don't do something. It's the absence of action. Fasting is the absence of doing anything. And so when people say, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You just don't want to. If you wanted to, you could. You just don't eat. It's really the easiest thing in the world. And so, people go, well, how do you get into it? Well, it's easy. Look, if you're a person that's eating 3-4 times a day and you're eating from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, well, you probably need to start slow, maybe, if it's hard for you to dive into it. I find it easier for me to just dive into it and knock out 2 or 3 days. But see, I've done it a few times. But just stop eating breakfast. Go, look, I'm just going to stop eating breakfast this week. I just won't eat anything till lunch. I'll wait till lunch to eat, and I'll have lunch, and I'll have dinner. And boy, that compared to somebody that eats all day, going to just eating lunch and dinner, and that's it. No snacks or drinks with sugar or anything like that in between. Just eat a lunch and a dinner. Make it good. Preferably make it keto or low carb. But just cutting out that breakfast and all those other hours that you're eating, all that stuff you were eating before lunch and drinking before lunch and all that stuff you were eating after dinner and up till bedtime, just cutting all that out is going to have tremendous health aspects, and it'll have some weight loss aspects. But it's also a good way to move yourself into becoming comfortable with fasting. And then after that point, you just move it one meal further. You're still not ready to do a whole day fast or whatever. You're basically doing 23 hours. If you can do 2 meals a day, you can move to 1. So try that the next week. Go, you know what? 1, 2, or 3 days this week, I'm going to go 23 hours without eating anything. So I'll eat dinner Sunday. I'll eat dinner Sunday at 6 or something. And then you don't eat anything until 5 or 6 on Monday. So you're going to go to bed Sunday night. You get up and go to work Monday. You'll work all day. You'll probably have some hunger pains in the middle of the day, but they'll pass. You'll be fine, and you'll know that you got dinner coming up. You just have to wait 3 or 4 hours till you get home, and then you have dinner, and you've made it 23, 24 hours. If you only can do that one day, if you only do it 2 days, so you get used to that. And eventually it will dawn on you once you start doing these things. You know what? Fasting really isn't that hard. I made it seem a lot harder than it was. And once you've accomplished a 23-hour fast, everything is open to you at that point. Once you know you can make it 24 hours without eating, you just got to do that twice for it to be a 48-hour fast. You just do it 3 times and it's a 72-hour fast. You just do that 4 times in a row and it's a 96-hour fast. And then the whole world is open to you. You can do intermittent fasting where you do 16-8. That's eating in an 8-hour window, and fasting for 16. That's basically lunch and dinner is what that is. You open up to 1 meal a day. That's the 23-hour fast, and you eat 1 meal. It's really more than a 23-hour fast. You want to eat that meal in 15 or 20 minutes and then be done. So it's really like a 23-hour and 40-minute fast is what it is. And then you can work in 48s. You can work in 72s. You can work in 96s. You could do 48s, then eat, then do 48, and then eat like I did that 1 week. You can do like I'm doing this week. Which is basically alternate day fasting is what this is called. A 36-hour to 40-hour fast is called alternate day fasting. So the way that would work is basically you're eating dinner one day, then you don't eat all the next day, but then you can have something at around 10 o'clock, an early lunch the following day. So you're really just skipping one day, but it works out to be in between 36 and 40 hours. And then you can eat the rest of that day. Once you get that 36 to 40 hours completed, it'll put you somewhere near lunch. So you just have lunch that day, and then have dinner that day. You get 2 full meals, and then you can jump right back into another 36 to 40 hour thing. So you have dinner that day, then the whole next day you don't eat. Then when you get up the next day, you only got to make it to like 10 or 11 or whatever. Stretch it to 10 or 11 if you can, and then have an early lunch, then have a dinner, and bam. You're knocking out 36 to 40-hour fast, and it's not affecting your life all that much. So you just have all these tools: extended fast, short intermittent fast, in-between intermittent fasting, 2-day fasting. Build it something around your schedule, but focus your life around fasting, because I'm telling you, the health benefits of fasting. Everybody's always worried about my health. Oh, God, you're fasting. You're going to be okay. Oh, God, I'm worried about this happening to you. I'm worried about... Let me tell you something. Every hour I fast, I get healthier. I don't get less healthy. My metabolism increases. I know that's counterintuitive. You would think that eating less makes your metabolism go down. Well, that's true when you cut calories, because your body thinks, well, we're restricted to this amount of calories every day. I'm going to lower my metabolic rate to match it. So we're going to start shutting a few systems down, and it'll start sliding on down to the level you're eating. But when you're fasting, your body's metabolism actually increases, and it'll do this for a 2, 3, even 4-day period. Now, eventually it'll start going down, but for the first 2, 3 days, your metabolism actually goes up while you're fasting. So it's the exact opposite of what happens when you are on a reduced calorie diet. These people that are eating 3 meals a day and trying to get 1,000 calories in, you're killing yourself. Your body is freaking out. It's like, oh my God, we're struggling to find food. This is what your body is thinking. Holy crap, we're eating 3 meals a day, but we're just not able to find much food, so we're only getting a few calories, but I need to start conserving energy. I need to start shutting a few systems down. I need to start putting some systems in reserve and try to get the amount of calories that I require every day down from 2,200 down to 1,800. And if I can just do that, we'll survive, because your body's always trying to survive. And that's why fasting works. Now, you can believe in evolution. You can call it whatever you want. But our bodies were designed. See, food wasn't always in abundance like it is today. Thousands and thousands of years ago, food was scarce, and fasting was just a way of life. You would easily go a day or 2 without having food. And so for your body, when your body knew that you had to go out and kill an elk or catch a rabbit or something, and you hadn't eaten in a day, it knew you needed energy to do that. So it would ramp up your metabolism to give you energy and to give you alertness to help you catch that rabbit or kill that deer or do whatever you needed to do to find some food. And so it's built into our DNA in times of fasting that our senses become more heightened, our metabolism rises, and it gives us that mental and physical boost that we need to get us through a day or 2 or 3 without food, to help us find more food. That's just the way our bodies were designed. And we're designed to fast. That's why you get fat. People are like, well, being fat is a sickness, or being fat is an illness. No. Being fat is the natural state of the body, the way it was designed. We were designed to, in times of feast, eat food and carry extra around in fat cells, so that in times of famine, it's hard to find food and you had to go a day or two or three without food, you'd have reserves on your body to sustain you. But we don't live in times of famine in the U.S. And there are no times of the poorest people you can find are fat. You go find the poorest people you find in America and they're fat. We are not poor. We're not food poor in America. And so the times of famine never come. Your body is steadily going, oh, here's excess, here's excess, here's excess, there's all this excess, all this excess, all this excess, and it just keeps storing it because that's the way it was designed. That's the way your body was created. Store excess for times of famine, store excess, and the famine never comes. And so when you begin a fasting lifestyle and you start incorporating fasting into your lifestyle, you bring back that natural famine that your body has been preparing for all these years. It's like, oh, finally the famine is here. I can burn some of this fat I've been saving. And so it's a beautiful thing. It's a very natural thing. And I will tell you, it is one of the most liberating things that you can do for your health. It liberates you, obviously, physically and physiologically and metabolically. It does. Again, I'm going to do a podcast just on the health benefits of fasting. But the things it does for you mentally, the power it puts, there's a reason all modern religions have fasting as a component. I don't care what major religion you can cite. They all have a fasting component. Christianity obviously does. Christianity was born with Christ, who fasted 40 days. 40 days and 40 nights or whatever. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't see Christians doing a lot of fasting. It's in the Bible. Some of them do it. My mama was a faster. Now, my mom will fast, boy. If she told you that she would be in battle for you spiritually, my mom went to battle for you spiritually. And she'd roll around in the floor all night, and she'd fast for 2 or 3 days for you. But you can look at the waistlines of most people in churches and see that they don't a lot of fasting happen. They just... I remember back when I'm going to get in trouble saying this, but I remember when I was younger and I was in church a lot and I'd see these preachers talking about how much fasting they did. And I'd look at them and I just knew they didn't do a whole heck of a lot of fasting. They might fast it a little bit. They didn't fast very much. I'll tell you, the most dedicated fasters are Muslims. Now, Muslims get a lot of grief, and I don't want to get into a political or religious discussion too much, but Muslims take their fasting seriously, and they have a whole month dedicated to fasting, and then they fast at other times. But it doesn't matter what major religion it is. The Jews have a fasting component. Moses did some fasting. Fasting is a part of Hebrew culture and all that stuff. Hinduism, Buddhism, all that stuff. All of it has a fasting component, and there's a reason for that. It brings you into focus. It brings you into clarity, and it gives you such control of your life. It especially gives you control of your food and your eating. But it's amazing what other components it gives you control of. It's just a beautiful thing. Till the day I die, I will be fasting to one degree or another. Hopefully at some point, I don't want to say hopefully, at some point I will hit a weight that I am happy with and that I feel healthy at. And when I hit that weight, fasting will still be a part of my life because it's such a powerful, powerful thing. I hope this podcast has helped you in some way. If it has, please share it with others. Share it on your social media. Tell somebody about it. Make sure you subscribe to it so you get notified about the next episode. And follow me on social media. If you have questions or comments, I love getting them. I got a message yesterday from somebody who follows me and has listened to a bunch of my podcasts and has lost 85 pounds. And her doctor had told her some weird, crazy stuff, and she wanted to run it by me. And I was happy to give her my opinion from my years of research. And I'll help you if I can. I love this journey, even though I've had battles, with grief that have set me back a little bit last year. But I've loved my weight loss journey. I love learning things, and I've learned so much. And more than that, I've loved sharing it with other people and seeing their success. She messaged me yesterday or day before yesterday, and when she told me she'd lost 85 pounds, I was so overcome with joy for her. And I celebrated it with her because I had some small role in it. I had just, it may have just been one word I said. I may have just exposed her to keto, and she went and did all the work herself, all the credit she gets. I just get, I get a little footnote at the bottom that goes, oh, I heard a little bit about this from Brett, and God, it just makes me so happy. Fat Guy Podcast is the username. That's across all the social medias. And then the website is thefatguypodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next episode.